Hello, hi, it's Stephanie from Our Natural Wisdom, and I'm coming to you with this week's Soulful Gardening Moment. Thanks for joining me. Always such a pleasure to drop in and share some practical gardening guidance with some mystical wisdom built in and a simple mindfulness practice that you can put to use immediately. So, we're going to dive into today's topic, which is my top 5 tips to create a healing winter garden. Now, I know what you're saying, Steph, we just started autumn. What are you talking about? Winter already. Don't rush things. But the thing is that your winter garden is created now. So I want to share with you my top 5 tips for bringing a beautifully healing winter garden into your life this winter and in winters to come, because our native gardens are gardens that we create in partnership with nature. They're all year. They are not just 3-season gardens. They are a year-long connection that you have, and that means year-long healing. And boy, I know a lot of us need that in the winter especially. So here we go. We're going to jump right in. So my first tip of my top 5 tips, first tip, I'm sure you've heard before, which is leave the leaves. Now, this can be interpreted in a lot of different ways, but I'm going to tell you what we have done. We do have trees, and they drop their leaves. They're deciduous trees. And we do have some lawn, in addition to a lot of native gardens. And we have started just simply raking the leaves onto the garden beds, not putting the leaves in the yard waste, not putting the leaves in a compost pile. Now, this may not work if you have a lot of leaves. I completely understand that. But your native garden beds they benefit so much from that additional nutrient, that the leaf matter. When it decomposes, it adds a lot of nutrients into the soil. It also provides a level of insulation to the soil, so it can really reduce cracking and expansion and frost heaves and all of those things that can happen in our winter gardens, especially here in the upper Midwest. So I encourage you to consider leaving the leaves. You may not want to leave your leaves on your lawn for a variety of reasons. Our turf grass is not as well suited to have leaves stacked up on it throughout the winter. But if you feel like your garden beds would be a bit buried with too many leaves, you can always put the leaves into a pile in the back of your yard. This is also so critical to protect anything that may be entering their hibernation stage, especially our native insects. They may have already created cocoons, and this is a place to keep them well protected into the spring. My second tip is to leave the stems. This is for so many of the same reasons. Our native gardens, really, we want to do as much as we can to emulate nature. And our native gardens attract so many amazing native pollinators that really need all of the help that they can get, and a variety of insects that we want to allow to survive and thrive in our gardens. So when we leave our stems up and we don't cut everything back so that it's super neat and tidy, we provide some really critical places for them to crawl into, the hollow stems to overwinter, so that they can lay eggs, so that they can survive throughout the winter. This is providing them a refuge in the cold weather and in the winter months that so many of our insects need. Leaving the stems, leaving your plants up throughout the winter also provides lots of seeds for birds. And if you are a bird lover like we are, you will have so much joy in watching all of the birds that come to your garden and harvest the seeds that are still up on the stems that you have left up. So that is my top tip number 2. It really allows you to continue connecting with nature in such beautiful ways throughout the winter. My top tip number 3 is to add water. Now, this requires purchasing something if you don't already have it. I would highly recommend a heated bird bath. They can be found online for like $50, I think is how much ours was. So it's not a small investment, but it is so worth it, because when you provide water year round, especially throughout the winter months, you will be attracting so many birds. It is like way more than just providing food and seeds. The water, of course, is so scarce. Liquid water is so scarce in the wintertime for birds and for other animals that when you provide water on your property, you are providing this healing environment for birds and for all of these other species of animals that really need water. Of course, everybody needs water, and you can provide this in your garden. Being able to provide this sustenance, this element that is essential for so many animals, will provide you with a lot of healing connection with nature throughout the winter months. My top tip number 4 is a little different, and that is to start walking around the inside of your house and look out your windows and see what part of your yard you will most likely be looking at most frequently throughout the winter. These are the parts of the yard that would be fantastic for you to focus on building a garden that provides abundance and that provides a place of refuge, seeds, maybe water. These are the places that you will most likely be connecting with the most through the winter months from inside your home. Now, I'm not suggesting that you need to go out and build a new garden right now, although theoretically you could, because fall is actually a wonderful time to plant native plants. But if you don't have a garden yet and you are looking out across some shrubs or to a tree, really connect with those spaces, really connect with those plants, and this will provide you with great healing throughout the winter. Because, and my top tip number 5 is to start connecting with individual plants or trees right now, so that you can continue building your relationship with them through the winter. You will be amazed at how much growth you see, how much change you're able to witness and experience with your tree or plant friend that you have developed a relationship with. And this will provide you with a continuous connection with your garden, with the outer space of your home. I know that winter can get kind of, we can be inside a lot. And depending on how bitter and brutal your winters are, which ours certainly can be here in northern Illinois, it is so important to continue that connection with nature, and you can do it from inside your home. I think a woodpecker just flew right behind me there. I don't know if you saw that. I'm kind of close to some of our bird feeders, and the woodpeckers are grooving on some suet that we just put up. So I really encourage you to consider what you're going to be looking at outside of your windows from inside your house right now, and connect with those places, especially if they have any kind of a structure, such as leaving the stems up of your plants. These are the views that will allow you that continuous connection with the healing that nature provides you throughout the winter months, and especially the healing that you are able to create and offer nature in your soulful garden with nature. Those are my top 5 tips. And in terms of the mystical connection here, there is a lot to be said about how native gardening helps especially perfectionists and people that have, especially women, that have a deep relationship with the need to control that which is uncontrollable, which is the vast majority of things in life, right? Native gardens really help us heal those parts of us that want things to be super tidy, super orderly, because we believe that that is the safest place to be. Now, from a mindset perspective, when we're looking at nature and in our gardens, you know intuitively that nature thrives on diversity, and diversity is messy at times, right? And that is where so much is born. That is where everything starts to come together. There's so many interrelationships that we have yet to understand about nature and about how we connect with nature and the healing that is provided from nature to us. So, to the extent that we can, let's provide that opportunity for change, for growth, for expansion. And this may look a little different than what all of the gardening guidance has been that we have received throughout the years. It is not going to mean a super duper tidy little garden with everything cut to the ground and everything, all of the leaves blown away and all of the bare soil. This is not how nature is, and you know this in looking throughout nature. So why do we need this in our gardens? It is a really important question to ask ourselves, and so much of it comes down to this desire to have things neat and tidy because we believe it will protect us in some way. I encourage you to explore that for yourself. If that is something that you have resistance to in terms of creating a more naturalistic look in your gardens, if you're not ready to have that look in the front yard, do it in the backyard. Try it in a small space of your garden. It's okay to do it in small steps. That is how it works. That's how it really starts to come together. And I really guarantee you that once you begin to connect with the diversity and the beauty and the growth and expansion that is available to you when you have a native garden and allow it to be natural and allow it to provide all of this sustenance and protection and shelter for a diversity of animals in the wintertime, you will appreciate it so much because it will be giving you a great deal of healing in return. So those are the top 5 tips. That's the bit of mystical wisdom for you today. And for today's little mindfulness practice, I encourage you to take some time to look out your windows, outside your windows from inside your home. Look out to what in nature is most what are you feeling an affinity to? Is it a particular plant? Is it a particular tree? Is it maybe a type of bird that you see frequently in your area? This is the time. Oh, I lost you there for a moment. This is the time to start connecting with those special aspects of nature that you already have an affinity to. The more you explore your connection with those aspects of nature, the more deeply you will be receiving their healing throughout the winter months and the times that you most need it. So your mindfulness practice today is to simply be aware of what aspects of nature around your home are calling out to you. What do you have an affinity to develop a more deep relationship with? Now is the time to create your beautifully healing garden in the winter. And that is today's Soulful Gardening Moment. If you are hungry for more native plant goodness, I encourage you to click the link in the bio or the link in the caption and grab my free guide to 5 native plants that provide healing textures for you. And these are plants, in most cases, they are plants that you will be able to continue seeing through the winter months. They don't die back to the ground, so you'll be able to experience the healing that they can provide you through the winter. And I look forward to hearing from you in the comments below. If you have anything that you want to share about how today's teaching resonated with you, I would love to hear. I will see you next Thursday at 9:30 a.m. Central here on Instagram Live for my next Soulful Gardening Moment. Thanks and have a great day.